The first story happened aboard a massive luxury cruise liner traveling from Miami to the Bahamas in 2013. The passengers were in high spirits when the ship departed, drinks flowing and music filling the air. But on the second night, things began to take a strange turn. Around midnight, a woman named Amanda woke to the sound of frantic knocking on her cabin door. When she opened it, she found a disoriented man standing there, drenched in sweat, his eyes wide in panic. He whispered, "Someone's in my room." Before Amanda could react, security appeared in the hallway, looking concerned. They gently escorted the man away, saying he might have been sleepwalking. But later that morning, word spread that the man had gone missing. His cabin door was wide open, and his belongings were untouched. The crew initially assured everyone that he might have disembarked during a stop or was simply hiding somewhere on the ship. But when the cameras were checked, something terrifying came to light. Security footage showed the man running down the hallway just after midnight, repeatedly looking back as if someone, or something, was following him. The footage suddenly cut out at a critical moment. When it resumed a few minutes later, he was gone. No one saw him again. His family begged the ship's staff to keep searching, but the official explanation remained vague: possible suicide, accidental fall, or voluntary disappearance. Yet, the haunting part came the next night when several passengers in nearby cabins reported hearing desperate banging on their doors, the same way Amanda had the previous night. One woman even claimed to hear faint screams coming from outside her balcony. When the ship finally docked, the man's disappearance was declared a tragic mystery, but Amanda couldn't shake one detail. The night he vanished, she swore she saw a shadow through the frosted glass of her cabin door, all still and waiting. Our second story dates back to 2006, aboard a smaller cruise ship traveling through the Mediterranean. Among the passengers was a family celebrating their parents' 30th anniversary. Their oldest son, David, was an amateur photographer and spent most of his time capturing shots of the ocean at night. One evening, he set up his camera near the stern, hoping to catch long exposure photos of the moonlight reflecting off the water. Around 2 a.m., he returned to his cabin to review the pictures, and what he found left him speechless. In several of the photos, a faint figure could be seen standing at the far end of the deck rail, just beyond where the safety barriers were. The figure appeared transparent, but what caught his attention was the expression. It looked like someone screaming silently. David rushed back to the deck, thinking someone might have been in danger, but no one was there. The area was completely deserted. He showed the photos to his family, and they all agreed something was off. The next day, David decided to ask the ship's crew if there had ever been accidents on that part of the deck. One crew member grew visibly uncomfortable and finally admitted that years ago, a passenger had fallen overboard during a storm. His body was never recovered. The man had reportedly been standing exactly where the ghostly image appeared in David's photos. Trying to dismiss it as a coincidence, David deleted the pictures. But that night, something strange happened again. While sleeping, he was jolted awake by the sound of water dripping onto the floor. When he turned on the light, the carpet near the cabin door was soaked. He opened the door expecting to see a leak, but instead, a trail of wet footprints led down the hallway, stopping abruptly near the elevator. No one else was awake, and there was no explanation for where the water came from. Over the next few days, other guests began reporting similar things, doors rattling in the night and whispers echoing in the hallways when no one was around. One woman even claimed she saw a figure standing by the railing during sunrise, staring out to sea. But when she looked again, it was gone. By the end of the voyage, many passengers refused to step out after dark. When the ship finally returned to port, David said he felt something watching him until the moment he stepped onto dry land. Even now, he says he can't look at photos of the ocean without feeling a chill run down his spine. The third and final story might be the most unsettling of them all. It comes from a former crew member who worked on a transatlantic cruise ship in the early 2000s. He preferred to remain anonymous, but his story has been shared in several forums and verified by other former employees. According to him, the ship was considered haunted even among the staff. They said it began after a tragedy involving a maintenance worker who vanished while inspecting one of the lower decks near the engine room. The area was sealed off for weeks, and when it reopened, strange things started happening. Doors would open on their own, radios would turn on without power, and cold spots appeared in certain corridors, no matter the temperature outside. One night, during a long voyage, the crew member was assigned to do a security sweep of the lower decks. Around 3 a.m., he entered the storage section, dimly lit, silent except for the hum of machinery. As he turned a corner, he saw a figure in a maintenance uniform standing near a hatch. Thinking it was another worker, he called out, but the figure didn't respond. It turned slightly, revealing a pale face with hollow eyes. The crew member froze. Then, the figure slowly raised its hand and pointed toward the hatch door before vanishing completely. Terrified, he ran back to the main deck and reported what he saw, but his supervisor told him to forget it, warning him that talking about the engine deck ghost would scare the passengers. Later, curiosity got the better of him. He and a friend decided to check the ship's maintenance logs from years before. What they found was chilling. The worker who disappeared had been assigned to fix a leak in the exact section near that hatch. He was last seen entering it during a storm, and the log simply ended with one note: inspection incomplete. When they opened that hatch years later, it was rusted shut. They had to pry it open, and the smell that came out was unbearable. Inside, there was nothing but tools and a faded hard hat, sitting perfectly upright, as if placed there intentionally. The area was sealed again not long after. From then on, the crew refused to enter that lower section alone. Some claimed they heard banging sounds from inside that sealed hatch at night, like someone was trapped and trying to get out. Others said they saw reflections of a man's face in the engine room glass when no one else was there. One engineer quit mid-voyage after hearing what he described as whispering through the metal walls, words he couldn't understand but felt certain were calling his name. The ship was eventually retired, sold off for scrap, and dismantled piece by piece. The workers at the scrapyard later said that even as they tore it apart, strange things kept happening: lights flickering, tools going missing, and eerie knocking sounds coming from the sections being cut. It was as if the ship itself refused to rest. There's something deeply unsettling about cruise ships. On the surface, they're symbols of luxury and escape, floating cities carrying laughter, music, and joy across the waves. But beneath all that, they're isolated worlds surrounded by endless darkness and silence. Once you're out there in the middle of the ocean, no one can hear you scream. Hundreds of people disappear from cruise ships every year, many never found. Official reports call them accidents or suicides, but crew members and survivors know better. Sometimes what happens out at sea can't be explained by logic or reason. Whether it's the ghostly echoes of the lost, the restless spirits of those who vanished, or the darkness that lurks beneath the waves, the ocean keeps its secrets well. These stories remind us that even in the most luxurious places, evil can hide just beneath the surface. Next time you stand at the edge of a cruise ship and stare into the deep, dark sea, remember, you're not just looking into water. You're looking into a place that has swallowed countless souls, a place that never forgets. Thank you for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this video and want more true horror stories like this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, stay safe, stay aware, and never underestimate the silence of the sea, because sometimes it's not as empty as it seems.